So what type of attacks are there for password cracking? Again, I'm going to say cracking a lot. We first start off with what they refer to as passive attacks. A passive attack doesn't actually lead to any changes in the system. The attacker is not going to have any direct communication, but is just passively going to monitor and record information. Typically, the techniques we see used here include things like sniffing the network, using like Wireshark is probably one of the more popular ones out there. We also have replay attacks and what they refer to as man-in-the-middle attacks. This is basically where the attacker injects himself between the source and the target and intercepts all the traffic as it passes through his device. We then have non-electronic attacks. This is where the attacker doesn't need any type of technology to crack a password. Things like shoulder surfing. That's where I just look over your shoulders. You type in a password. Or social engineering techniques. And of course, we've talked a lot about dumpster diving. Those are non-electronic attacks. Again, anything, those are non-electronic, right? We also have offline attacks. Ooh, this is where things get kind of fun. Offline attacks is where the attacker is able to get a hold of the password file, and then he's able to crack it using his own time and his own systems. And there's all kinds of techniques. We can use rainbow tables, which are just basically a bunch of pre-computed hashes, as well as a distributed network attack. Now, each one of these will be diving in deeper and deeper. We're just laying a foundation here for you. There's actually one more type of attack. It's called active online attacks. And I saved it as a separate clip here for you because it's pretty massive as far as the techniques are concerned, but it's also very important to understand. And of course, as we go through this course, you'll see each of these in action. But we first have what they refer to as a dictionary attack. This is basically where we have, as attackers or security researchers, access to what we refer to as dictionary files. These are just text files that you can download. And there's a lot of different variations out there. We have dictionary files that are in different languages, French, Spanish. So yeah, if you are English speaking or if you're French speaking, thinking that you're going to store your password in Latin, may not work out that well for you. In fact, I've got a dictionary for Klingon. Deploy. Okay, we also have subject-based dictionaries. Again, almost any industry, the banking industry, oil industry, all the different terms that they use are accessible in different types of dictionaries. Same thing with characters, both true characters or real characters, actors, and fictional characters. The Hobbit is a great example. Yeah, you don't know how many Thors I've seen out there. We also have, besides obviously the famous people, locations and events. Now we also have the ability to do what they refer to as string manipulation. String manipulation is where we take a dictionary that contains maybe the word system and manipulate that string to create anagrams like metsis. See, you thought you were being tricky. So for example, if the dictionary has the word computer, maybe it creates an algorithm for pewtercom. See, you thought you were being tricky by mixing up the letters. I gotcha. We then move into brute force attacks. A brute force attack is where we try to muscle our way in, kind of like Chuck Norris. But basically, it does take longer because we're trying every possible combination in the attack. It does require more cycles. That's why it takes longer. But with brute force and given enough time, all passwords eventually will be discovered, unless it's going to take you 6 quadrillion years. We then have rule-based attacks, and they actually break down in a couple of different categories here. But the overall aspect of a rule-based attack is that we've obtained information, typically during enumeration. You remember that? We were able to discover, or you can discover, what rules are being implemented. Enumeration can show me that you require 8 characters and at least 2 digits. What do you think I could do with that? Yeah, I can combine brute force, dictionary, and a syllable attack. We'll talk about that one here in just a second. I know Syllable's a new one for you. But combining these different types of attacks together will get me a password. So I told you we talk about Syllable. Well, here we go. In this technique, we're just going to simply go through and use the dictionary and other methods to crack them by implementing a brute force. Use every possible arrangement of every entry in the dictionary. So in the case here of pass, you can see I'm listing almost every possible combination. I'm sure there's more I probably missed, but you get the point. We also have hybrid attacks. This is still a rule-based attack. Now, this one depends on a dictionary attack that we have access to. And there are many times that users will just change their password by, I don't know, adding a couple of new characters to the end of an old password. In this case, tools that are designed for hybrid attacks will just add numbers and symbols to the words of the dictionary to try to crack the password. So, for example, Batman, the hybrid attack will try Batman 1, Batman 2, hoping that maybe it gets to my birth year, right? Because maybe somebody's using their birth year with Batman. Now, again, it's not my password. But we do have guessing. Yeah, we can guess passwords. It is a technique. It basically is where we go through and find a valid user. We then go through and create a list of possible passwords based off of the reconnaissance that we've done on that individual. Let's see, Dale likes Batman. He enjoys paintball. He loves Android devices, and he runs Windows. He's got 6 kids. What are their names? What are their birth dates? Okay, now that we've got all that, let's try to then go through and rank them from high to low as far as probability is concerned, and then start typing away. You could also script that out if you'd like, but it's still the same process. Then we have the infamous default passwords. Oh, please, please, do me a favor. If you know of somebody who uses default passwords, and you know what, here's the crazy thing is that you may be guilty of it. You don't even know it because we have so many devices that we go off and purchase and we don't even think about the default password. What's the default password on your Netgear router? Did you know you have a default password on a switch, especially if it's a managed switch? What about the default password on all your IoT devices? Well, there are several websites that are out there that will go through and tell you what the defaults are. It's a great resource if you're trying to get into a device for legal reasons and somebody hasn't changed the password, or you have to do a factory reset on a device. But from an attacker's perspective, it's the pot at the end of the rainbow, or the cat's meow, or all that in a bag of chips. Oh, you think I'm done, don't you? How about sugar honey iced tea or poppin' fresh? We also have a category of software and hardware based password crackers, and that would include things like a Trojan. Trojan, and we'll talk about this more in our malware course, but it's basically a program that's disguised itself inside of a real application. This is where I get really passionate about downloading software and movies and pictures off torrents because a lot of those are infected with Trojans. They also have spyware, which is a type of malware that we can install on a computer to secretly gather information without the user's knowledge. And then we have keyloggers. These could be hardware or software based, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a device that is going to record every keystroke as a user's on a machine. And so I can capture a username and a password. Again, we'll talk more about these in depth as we get further in. There's some really tricky ones out there.